Well, then, for once again in January, we have Mr. Tolly, who comes all the way down from Austin and entertains us at least for the next hour and a half or so. So I give you Johnny Tolly.
Well, thanks for having me down once again. I don't know, it's been many years, and I'm glad it was this week instead of last week. But last week, did you guys get a lot of snow down here?
No.
We got about 2 inches of, rain, freezing ice, a little bit of freezing rain and sleet, and what do they call grapple now? Grapple? You can walk on that, and you can even see where you stepped. Anyway, I'm glad we're down here. So tonight I'm going to be doing a little demonstration. It's good for anybody, beginner to advanced. It's called raindrop bowl / platter. So this actually came from a guy from England, but Rick Havens, I'm going to give him credit, out of Elkhart, Indiana. He's the one that actually sent, I guess, Vanna White back there, a bowl. And then I kind of took it and run with it a little bit, and she's the expert on it, especially how to put paint on. So I have her come up here later on that. So I've got some here I'm going to send around so you can actually see them. And there's so many different ones that you can make. It's so much fun, and you can name them different things. Let's see if I get a, is this right overhead now? This purple one is purple. Watch your step. This is actually the raindrop right here because you got blue on it. Now this in here is pink and gray. So I'll pass those around. And let's see. Question? Yeah. Frisbees. This is mud puddle. And this is garden green. Now, as you look at these, look at the profile on the back. You can make any kind of profile on the back that you want. Now, one of the things that I started on this was, I used to do a lot of beads of curried boxes. I probably made over 500, if not more, and gave them to Dell Children's Hospital. Well, nobody now is taking beads of curried boxes. I've heard the rumor, and I can't verify it, that the ladies, so seamstresses are making little bags for the beads of courage. So you could actually have a stack this tall of bags to put beads of courage in, where it takes one box, takes up a lot of space. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's my story. I'm sticking with it. So it's really easy. Now, one of the things I do is start with, and I normally turn on one-way stuff, but DB, you all remember who DB is? Dearly Beloved has the Novichok. So I got started using the Novichok, and the wormwood screw on the Nova is different size than the one-way. Could be the same on Vitmark and other chucks. But I use a 3/8 Forstner bit, and I drill to the depth. Now, one of the things that I like to make sure is I do that deep enough. So I'll put this on just to make sure it go on. What you need to do, question? Oh, I probably let the lock go. So you need to make sure that you drill deep enough. Well, you can make one of these little things out of wood with a thumb screw in it. So there you put it up right here and say, okay, give me about a 1/16 of an inch between there and the wormwood screw. You tighten it down, and when you drill in, you make sure that it bottoms out. Because if you don't bottom out, you want the surface of the wood next to the jaws. That's very important. If you don't, that thing's going to wobble, and actually could break your wormwood screw. These smaller bowls, probably not. So make it out of pencil. You could actually use the eraser and the, where the eraser's fastened to, and measure that depth. So that's very important. Now on the smaller platters, and this used to be, it was going to be a bottom for a beads of curried box. This is regular 3/4 inch dimensional lumber. So to do that, I made a little circle that goes right on, and then when this screws on there, it screws up the bottom. Because if I drilled it deep enough in here, then I have a little hole or a funnel. Don't want to do that. One of the other features that you need to pay attention to when you're doing this is to make sure that you measure how wide your jaws are. So use a caliper and measure a little bit wider than what your jaws are, because when you get this thing turned around, and I'll show that in a little bit, you're going to take the wormwood screw out and you're going to expand the jaws. Now, you can use a vacuum system to do this. But if you don't have, and a lot of people do not have vacuum systems, you can use your chuck jaws, expand it into mortise, and hold it and then do the bowl on the inside. Does everybody kind of grasp that? So it's very important. So once I set that up, I also take my dividers here and I measure from the center point out to the jaws. And then when I turn this thing around and mark it here on the bottom, we'll say like this, then this will be the mortise for your jaws. So when you put it in there, expand it, you don't have to reverse it and do that again. So I have a handout that I'm going to pass around. Now, I don't know how many folks are here. Don't kick that thing over there. Yes, he did that a while ago. So careful, bud. He's wobbly at times. So one of the things, folks, guys, gals, when you go out to your studio, you know what the difference between a studio, a garage, and a shop is? You can charge more if it comes out of a studio, right? Yeah, right.
I was going to say the mess.
Yeah. So when you get done in your man cave, woman cave, or whatever, take your smock off and leave it in the studio or whatever, and you go in the house. Because when you take this thing in and you show, as you show DB, you know your buttons are popping off and all she's seeing is chips falling off. You don't want that to happen. You want to have a happy household. So, any questions up to this point? Do you have a bring back raffle, so to speak? Yes. Is that tonight or some other time? Tonight. Okay. Mike Hunter, as you well know, donates a #1 cutter. Give it over there. A #1 cutter, and that's the one that I use most of the time. Now, he also donated, let's see, what is it called here? Tapered C-hook tool. Now, whoever, and please, if you win one of these things, send Mike Hunter a thank you, because he's generous to donate these things. And I'm not going to say what the price is, but they're not really cheap, but they're outstanding. So this tool right here, if you win this tool and you got questions about it, come and see me. Never, ever go beyond this right here. If you come up here, that tool will pivot really fast. I use these on Christmas ornaments. I demonstrated that down here a few years ago. So whoever wins this tool, make sure that you keep it down on the straight part of the shaft. The reason being, if that shows right, it's straight in line with the shaft. It keeps it from rotating. But if you get up here, it rotates really quick. Over the paper. Can you see that? Keep it on the straight. If you come up here, it rotates. Very, very dangerous. And it'll make a believer out of you real quick. So whoever wins that, if you have any questions, if you've been asleep while I've done this, talked about it, come see me if you have any questions. I've done that.
Is that cutter tilted?
This cutter is about 10 or 15 degrees tilted compared to being straight. All of the Hunter tools, even the straight tool that I use, and I'll try to remember to demonstrate these, I'll rotate this slightly and it's a shear cut. It's not a scraper. I hate to kick easy wood tools, but they're scrapers. They're not cutters. And a lot of people use the easy wood tools, and I have no problem with that, but I'm just partial to the Hunter tools. And one of the things I really like about the Doug Thompson handles, they don't roll off on the floor like round tools. The only trouble is, yes, in the winter they can be a little bit of cold, but I put them on my little oil heater and they get nice and warm and stay that way. In the summer, they're cool. They work out really well.
Johnny, are those the small carbide cutters?
These are the #1 carbide cutters. He has for the Christmas, probably 10. I don't know what it is. It's in the, if you get one of those, it's got the brochure in there. It'll tell you what it is. It's in millimeters like that. I really like the Hunter tools. Now, one of the...
On the price on the cutter?
Everything's going up. I think the cutter itself is $20 maybe. But now one of the things on the cutter, if you get one and if you drop it on the floor, guess what? It shatters.
Yep.
You have to replace it. But the thing is, mark the end out here where you use it with a black or red Sharpie. Then when you use the little tool that's provided in it's a torque. When you unscrew it and you rotate that, you put the new cutter out here and put the red or black, whatever, on the back side. And you'll have a new one. You can actually turn it just a little bit, and you can probably use these for 4 or 5 years unless it hits the floor, and it'll shatter, guarantee it. Or now on my little bitty lathe, I got a Vitmar VL100, I usually stick them underneath. Sometimes I hit the chuck or hit the bottom of the lathe, and it chips it. It chips it. So then I have to turn it or replace it. No. It's not worth even trying to sharpen them. No. Yes, this is the first time he's donated a hook tool. So, like I say, if you win that one, whoever wins either one, send Mike Hunter a thank you. But if you win that one, I recommend getting the Thompson handle and make sure you keep that straight back. Now, he has what's called a Viceroy tool, which I really like, this one right here. And on my request, I made a lot of Christmas trees. He has, this is the left Viceroy. He has a right Viceroy that you can undercut those Christmas trees with. But you have to ask him for that because I don't think he has that on his site. So it's really great. So then if you really get really serious, you have the big boy. And then he has one that's taller and wider yet. But this one here I normally don't use on these river drop or raindrop platter bowls. But okay, over the paper. So this one is a beast. On a lot of my on a lot of my bowls and hollow form stuff like that, this can go over the tool rest all the way back here. And the reason I have the long handle, it gives me the leverage and the back here that it's not jumping grabby. You think that little cutter won't cut? Man, it cuts like crazy if you've ever used one. So I probably won't use that. I just brought that to show. All right. So any questions up to this point? Now, I left some stuff out of this so you'd have to stay awake for my demonstration. Sneaky, aren't I? So, like I say, this was going to be the bottom of a beads of curried box. And you want to get that good and tight up next to the jaws. Now, one of the things that you need to keep aware of is safety. Now, in my studio, I have a vacuum system here, but guess what? The chips are going this way. So I wear a face shield with a dust mask. Now, I don't know how that's going to work with this right here, but we'll find out. So this is a Trend Air Shield Pro. Got a battery in it and filters on it. Really like it. It's not that heavy for me, but if you use it all day, you know, your neck muscles will strengthen up to it after a while. And if you have questions, please let me know, because I might not hear it. So, let's see. Now this one here, yeah, there we go. A lot of times I'll keep the tailstock up next to it. With the cutter here, see, I'm not standing in line. I'm standing over here. What horsepower is this Laguna? 2? 1? 1.5? It'll seem like pretty good power. You're a distributor, correct? You're a distributor? You just have them. This is why I'm wearing a face mask and a dust shield. Turn it on here. Now, can you hear me talking? Let's see. Now, what's really nice is as those passed around, you can actually see the different shapes that I had. Pardon me. But I have the golden mean. It's close to 1/3, 2/3. It's like 1.6, wherever the paper is. Yeah, it's roughly 1/3, 2/3. So I have the golden mean tool here that you can measure this out with and measure your face. Then, as I showed you earlier on the chuck itself, if I can find out where I hide things over here, I want to make a recess or mortise. So I've set my calipers for that diameter. Now to double check that, you take your Vermeer caliper and say, okay, it fits over here. Check it, see if it's here. Now, I don't know if you can see that from the tailstock end. You can see that when I hollow this out and put a mortise in here, the chuck will fit. It's another important feature there. Yeah, it's a dovetail, and I'll show you how to do the dovetail two different ways. Does that make sense? The dovetail. So this is the number one. I can use the Viceroy tool on that, and let's see how it does without. It comes up a little bit slow. Now, normally, like I say, always have your face shield on. And let me pull this up just a little bit. The Laguna is a little bit different than a one-way. No, it's still not high enough. Always turn the lathe off before you move the tool rest. Well, I didn't move the tool rest, I just raised it up. See how the number one tool cuts? Now, for your dovetail, you need to be probably close to between a 1/16 and an 1/8 of an inch, something like that. So you can use basically any tool that you've got there. Now, there's two tools that you make a dovetail with. One, this is from Tenica tool, which makes the chuck itself. This is the dovetail tool. Very seldom do I use this one because this one belongs to DB. So you take that in there and you come out and you can make the dovetail. Now what I normally use is just a skew. Do you want me to pass that around? A lot of people haven't seen those. She was wondering how to make dovetails one time. I go, well, let me get you a tool. So I use a skew. Think a little bit more right there. Now, there's a little trick that you can get. I don't need to pass that around. Everybody loves a hater skew, right? You don't love and hate skews? you can put a little bead on here. Now, this is, I have the full set of the Carter beading tools. Excuse me. Carter, yeah. And I made my own handles. They come unhandled. You really don't need a handle. But to use that, you want to keep this very low, and got to get used to these switches. And then you put that in there and you rotate it left and right. I think, was it James, did you have a question on this? No? Okay. But this is the beading tool, and I'll show you the other tool in a little bit. So you rotate it back and forth until you see the bead come up. Now, if you can leave it like that, but if you want to dress it up, this is the diamond tool. I don't know if you can see it or not, or the round teardrop tool. So you put it in.
Is that Carter or is that D-Way?
D-Way.
D-Way has teardrop.
Wherever I got them. It's been a long time, years. And let's see, I don't think they...
Carter just came out with theirs.
Yeah, D-Way tools. Carter has them too, but these are D-Way. So you use it like you did the beading tool. You put it into the groove, and you rotate it to soften that edge. And same on the inside. You rotate it very carefully to soften that edge. If you're not careful, this one will skate one way or the other. So you need to hold it straight in, just like I did there, and then rotate it a little bit. To sharpen these, which I've never had to do, you just take a hone and hone it on both of them. Okay? You use the diamond hone. You don't sharpen them on a grinder unless you chip them or drop them on the floor. Now, one of the things here, I'd come back and sand this. Now, we had a conversation earlier this evening about how high a speed should you use electric drill, how high the electric drill should be going, how high the lathe should be going. If you turn any of the sandpaper high speed, it will actually melt the glue. It don't matter what brand of sandpaper you have. It will melt the glue and separate. So if you're using it in a drill and your sandpaper is coming off the backing, you're going too fast. Slow everything down. Now, before I get ready to sand this, I'm going to use a negative rake scraper, which is this one right here. Now, this is from Doug Thompson. It don't need this long of a handle. It's just one I had laying around. And then I'm going to try it without the, wait a minute, let me stop this. Turn this a little bit. And I'll show you a trick that you can use. Now, if I don't wear too much of this stuff. This is why you want to wear a dust mask. Now you see, can you see the fine shavings? That's what a negative rake scraper would do. Now, one of the things to sharpen a negative rake scraper, a lot of people don't do it, but I do. And when I take this out of the handle, I turn it upside down on my platform, and I sharpen it this way. What that does, it puts a burr on the bottom. Think about it, if you turn it over this way and the grinder is going down, where's the metal going? It's going down. Try it. Just try it sometime. So I have a whole lot better luck. Of course, I got about a 5-degree angle on the top, but when I turn it over, when it comes down, it puts a really nice burr here on the bottom. So, just another tidbit there. Now, one of the things here, there's a little torn grain right here. I would probably start sanding that with 60 going up through 320. I'm not going to do that tonight because now this is the same as Axe abrasive paste, but this is made from Cortland Hunt. He used to be in our club, moved to Michigan. This is his abrasive paste. So you can take this abrasive paste and rub it into this area here. Just do it all the way around. Now, like I say, I'd normally sand this first, but I want to kind of show you what the advantage of doing this is. I don't think I put this on the paper. You could correct me if I'm wrong. What this is canuba wax, mineral oil, and pumice that the dentist uses to clean your teeth. So if it's good to clean your teeth, it's good to put on wood, right? Now then, yeah, if you sand this to 320 and you still have a real fine grit right there, then you put that on, and when you polish it out, it's about 1200 grit, like the old guy said. Now then, lightly take this. A lot better, but as you can still feel the grain pulling out. But like I say, if I was to sand this all the way up from 600 to 320 and then put that wax on there, it's almost as smooth as a baby's bottom. So some of the ones passed around, you can hopefully you felt that. Any question on the outside? You can make any design here you want, any profile. I'm just going through this really quick, okay? Now, you don't have to do the bead on the inside. And yes, I would sand that, and I would sand this and all that stuff. So, any questions on that? So, the bottom is basically now would be finished after I, sand it and put the sanding paste and polishing cream on it. The bottom's done. I don't need to do anything else. You're right on the handles on this thing. So now then, out of the technical stuff, you say the bottom's completely finished. What you need to do now is sand, or not sand, but cover the bottom. And I've got Vanna White coming up here to show how to put tape on, because I don't do it near as good as she does. And I brought this little I hid the tape. Yes, here's tape. So I have this little, and then I have a little clamp right here. I have to put this on this side. This one right here. So that this clamp is just to keep the thing from walking away. As she is the delicate one, I just slap it on there. Now explain what you're doing, Vanna.
I can't do that.
Oh.
And just roll it around, and the tape will be staying flat on the surface. Press it as you go.
So this is a collaboration.
Collaboration.
Collaboration. Yeah.
Got that end's down too low.
So she's the patient one. I just slap it on there.
And you can tell by some of the painting. Okay. Now what I do, I take some saran wrap and put in there and tape it down. So you don't have a big blob of tape everywhere. You have saran wrap. And there's how smooth it goes.
Simple, right?
Good job, Marcia. I don't care what
Okay, once you get to that point, you're going to put paint on this. Now, I brought a selections of paint. I'll move that over here. Now, one of the things, do not get the Rust-Oleum 2X paint. It's way too thick. It don't work. She will come back up in a little bit and show you why it don't work. Doesn't, whichever the case may be. But you can go to Hobby Lobby. Go to Hobby Lobby. I don't know if you got a Michael's down here, but Hobby Lobby seems to be the best. 180 degrees. I could read it. That were good? So this is Krylon Shortcuts. Now what you want to do is get a light color and a dark color. Because when you do the raindrop, you put the light color on heavy. Now you can let that, I'm not going to spray here tonight because of the paint fumes, stuff like that. So you completely paint that with the light color, completely. Now you can let it dry, or when you do that, then, and let me show you different colors, let me see. And you want to have kind of complementary colors. This is the clover green, well, both of them clover green, but see the difference in the caps? I don't know why. And then hunter green and Caribbean. And then if you want to get into the mud puddles, you got the True Toupe and Espresso. So, and they're $4 a little can. But one can, you could do several little bowls with them. I'm sorry? It's it says great for wood. The ones that passed around it, they kind of look like that. But after you get that done, okay, that's where the raindrops come in. And what you do afterwards. But what you do, and you take a little spritz bottle and you spray just a little bit of water on it. Okay? Well, you sand this surface here. You'll have it in your chuck. You sand this to 220 or 400. And then you spray the paint on it. Okay? Then you spritz it. And then you have water in a little cup. And just stick your finger in there and drop it. How many drops you want. And you see the ones that went around. There's several. Don't put your whole hand in there because you'll get a lot of paint on it. Just one finger, drop it. I want one over here. I want one over there. Then you can do it still wet, okay? And then after you do that, you get the raindrops on there while it's still wet. Then you take, at a very low profile, we'll say it's blue, you come down a very low profile and you put the darker color on. You don't want it up here. You want it low profile. And then what you do is carefully, well, I have to turn it because I can't reach the other side like somebody. So if you don't want to turn it, you go around to the other side, and then you lightly spray at this angle the white. Don't turn it. Yeah, if you bobble this, and you kind of want to have this set and level. So, question. You don't want the drips running. You want the water drops on there. So if you turn it very carefully, you might not do that. But I do this outside, and I have this on a little place so I can go from the porch to the outside and spray it. It'd be the same thing. You spin it and the water might fly. So you have to be really careful there. The nice part about it, if you mess it up, you can sand it back and do it all over again. It's easy. Now, after that, you have the let everything completely dry. Do what? The spritzer is put a little bit of water on it. It's like a raindrop splatters. It spritz it. It just a little. You can put more or less of that spritzer on there. It depends on what you want. You can see those on the ones that went around.
So when you spritz it, then you come back with the contrasting, darker contrasting color, and then the white.
And then the white from different sides. So the darker color comes from one side, and the white comes from the other side, which highlights the water drop. Okay? No. The water kind of raises the grain anyway. So I guess it holds that water drop. Now, after it's completely dry, the next day or next week or whenever you get back around to it, that's when you come back and you completely spray. This is deft, and now they call it Prolux. It's deft. You could probably use lacquer finish on it, gloss or semi-gloss, and you spray it both directions so you don't get a lot of runs on it. And that seals the paint in. Okay? Did I get all that? I'm sorry, I just didn't want to spray paint in here for everybody to smell. So, and it's a lot of fun making these things. So now, Vanna, will you come up here and tell them what I did wrong here? Because you're the expert. Yeah, this is the one she says I did wrong. No. So, oh,
Okay. First you put the tape on wrong. Anyway, this is the heavier paint.
the 2X. Don't use
2X.
2X.
And you put way too much paint.
Can't hardly hear it. She needs to be right next to it.
Wait. Too much paint on it because
And you
it's heavy, and then when you put it on the other way, it's still it's too much paint. And he must have moved it around because the drips are messed up.
So that one there I'm going to redo, but I kept it for her to explain that on.
So this was, the actual paint, the colored paint you used was the
Was a 2X blue, and then it was 2X light blue and 2X dark blue and the white, and it was just too heavy. And then I put too much water on it because I think I put three fingers down in there, dropped it on there, and I moved it.
I've never seen those cans that you have.
Ace Hardware has those, but you have to go in because, no, hold on. In my area, Ace Hardware has those in a different area from where the regular paint is. So I asked them, Pat Jenkins put me onto this. Now, Ace, where is it? You said? Ace Hardware has that. I did not find that in Hobby Lobby. Ace Hardware in Belterra, which is towards Austin, has the Prolux paint. You could probably Google it. Yeah, I'm not sure where you can find it. I can pass this around and Google it.
I buy mine by I get a case of 6 at a time.
Yeah, case of
I
six.
get them from Zorro.com. It's the cheapest place I've found to get my Prolux.
And
I've used them in the den for 20 years.
and they're what, about $8 a can? It's not cheap, but of course it goes a long ways. So it's the same formula as Deft, supposedly.
Right, it is. I haven't found it.
Yeah, it worked for me. It worked the same as Deft, either gloss or semi-gloss. One of the things, like you was talking about earlier on somebody's finish here, you don't want to use two different kinds of finish because it can blister it. And I don't know if that's what happened to that piece, but if you're using Deft, stay with Deft. If you're getting lacquer thinner from somewhere, don't mix the two. It's just, I mean, you can, but you might have to sand it all back off and finish again. So that's how you put the paint on. Yeah, well, it's kind of a specialty paint from Hobby Lobby. It just says it's gloss paint, great for wood, metal, craft, foam, and more. It don't really say if it's lacquer. It might in the fine print, which I can't read anyway. But they're the little cans. And they have them, and you have to ask for somebody to unlock the door, and they'll take the 2 colors or 4 colors, whatever. They will hand carry those up to the register, and then you have to go up there and pay for them, at least in Austin. I guess probably everywhere, because people want to sniff them, so you got to pay for them. Then you can go outside and sniff them. But if you're only going to do a few, I mean, this would probably do 6, 8, maybe 10 of them. But I don't know. Spray it until you run out of it. Well, I find this to work the best. But you can experiment. That's what's the advantage of watching a demonstration. If you can take one good point away and go home and do something, it's worth time, right? Worth it. So, yeah, you could probably use other paints, but I just found out that 2X is too thick and too, what do you call it, gummy. And it took a lot longer to dry. That's where the spritz comes in, if that's the right term for it. Yeah? Okay. Now, let's see. Do I have one to do this one? Okay, this one here I'm going to take off, and then I'm going to take the wormwood screw out and do a bowl. Now keep in mind, this is not nearly finished. I will put this back on, and I'll sand it down to 320, and if I need to, do more to it. Never leave your chuck key in. Which one was I going to do? This one? Yeah. It's not painted. So, since that's not painted, let's do a little walnut. I have to stop and think for a moment which way to turn the Nova chucks, because to me they're backwards. Now, one of the things with an expanding recess, if you have a hairline crack, they can come apart. I normally do not use a recess except for these smaller ones. I could use a vacuum system to hold this, but a lot of people don't have a vacuum system. And the point of this demonstration is for you to go home and have fun, but never ever stand in line of fire, right? Nobody said anything.
Everybody nodded.
Okay. Now if, yeah, I know. So, I'm going to put this in here just for the, right now. So here again, the 1/3, 2/3. I have this is the same as the golden means. Center point, and then I normally have a pencil and mark it. I might have to get that out. I didn't see it. So, yep. Let me show you one here. If you go online and look at golden mean, there's dimensions on how to make one of these. This is out of 1/8 inch wood. But I made this one out of aluminum. This is a store-bought one. You can get it online. And if you check these, they all come up basically the same. So now I have this 1/3, 2/3. And that's only, it's like the golden mean, it's 1.6 whatever it is. So that's going to be the 1/3 or golden mean out here. Where'd it go? Down there. So I should put my helmet back on. This is the Viceroy. I need to move that in a little bit. I'm not going to stop the lathe this time. So out here, I just want to lightly touch this to true it up in case it's not perfectly round. Now, with that being said, where's my bowl gouge? Here. You can use a regular gouge. Now, one of the things you want to do is not make a funnel. So, have this from, I don't know where I got it, but I want to make sure that I don't have a funnel. So where I put that dovetail in there, I don't think that's going to go in there. I want to make sure that it's not too thin. It won't go in, so then you got to be really careful. There, that one goes in. Here I've got 3/16 of an inch where the Forstner bit went in. But if you can see from the end, and I don't know if you can, there's still a little bit of a hole in the center. So by the time I get to the bottom of that dimple where the Forstner bit went in, I'm getting pretty close. Well, normally it goes right between the jaws. If I'd had this tenon or a mortise a little wider, this one would went right down in there, and it gives me the gap from right here on the bottom to right here on the top. So this is a really sweet one because it's got where you can do it both ways. Any questions on that? But since this is a little bit wider than the other one, so let me try not to make a funnel. So when I get close, what I want to do then is check the rest of the profile. Because I can make a great big funnel out here. So then where this is like that, I've still got 3/16 of an inch out here, about here. So you want to check all the surfaces when you do that. So now that I'm getting close, that's where I'll use, where'd it go? My negative rake scraper. It was on the side. Duh. All right. Thank you, bro. Very carefully take that little divot away from the Forstner bit. I think this is getting close to needing to be sharpened. Very lightly. And then I'll check it again with my calipers, double-ended calipers, to see how close I am. That's not going down in there. Yeah, that's about a little more than 1/8 of an inch. So let's call that good. Now, for sanding, move your tool rest and everything back out of the way. And like Jim would do, he starts with 2 rocks from the parking lot. Yeah. So at home, I have the mullet. How many of you seen the mullet vacuum system? It's a canister I brought down a couple years ago. It sucks all that dust right away from me really nice. So normally, I never sand without that system going. Now let's see if this will do this one. I sand in forward and reverse. That's 60 grit. Question. Yeah, don't sand the outside edge on the painted ones. On the plain one like this, you can sand the outside edge. Okay? You can sand the outside edge of the painted one, but then you don't have the paint on it. Well, I'm not going to take a whole lot off. I'm just trying to remove the rough area. So yeah, if you really sand with a power sander like a drill or something with 60 grit, you could sand through the bottom and have a funnel. But normally you don't need to sand that much. And I like to go through both grits, or both feet, forward and reverse. That's 80 grit, 100 grits. On the painted ones, you normally don't sand the edge because you want to see that raindrop effect. That's why you don't sand the outside edge on the painted ones. But when I'm sanding the bottom, normally what I will do is sand the outside edge also. Now, if you're sanding and your fingers are getting hot with the sandpaper, you're going too fast. And this is close to that. Making the bowl. Yeah, because the outside and the outside rim has been painted. Yeah, here I'm sanding the rim, if you will, not the edge. And this is 320. Now, one of the things, goodbye. One of the things I wanted to mention on that, when you're sanding like that, stay there. The dust is going hopefully into your vacuum system. Now, after you get that sanded, there's a little divot right there. What's nice though, if I have a little area right here that's not completely smooth, I can put it back on the chuck and come back in and sand this again. But for right now, this is the Cortland Hunt's abrasive paste. It's same as like Axe abrasive paste. And normally I'll take a clean cloth and I say cloth, a paper towel, but never use a cloth when you're turning these. Now I use a cloth like this to put the abrasive paste on by hand. And I put it on liberally, good and thick. And this would be the same procedure I do on the bottom of the raindrop bowls, but not on the painted surface itself. But it would be sanded to 320 grit. Unless you find problems, then you need to sand a little bit more. So then I use a paper towel. And you get these shop towels at Home Depot or Lowe's. About any place. And this is what I'm trying to do is burnish that in, which is about 1200 grit. And then, because I'm using a very small cloth and fold it up, I'm putting the polishing cream on. The back of this one's already been polished. It's basically the same as Axe. We had a guy in our club move to Michigan. He made this abrasive paste and polishing cream basically the same as Axe, a lot cheaper. And yeah, and he moved to Michigan, so yeah. Write that down. Coyote Workshop might be, because he moved to Michigan. I'm not 100% sure he's got a website up right now. But because he was in our club, we was able to get it from him at cost. No.
He used to sell for $10 a container.
Yeah. Of course, now because he's in Michigan, it'd probably be $10 plus shipping. But I don't know. Has anybody bought the Axe abrasive paste and polishing cream? How much is it a jar? Now, I don't know if you can see this right now. The bottom of that is roughly 1/8 of an inch at the palm of my hand. So I'll pass this around. And what I'll do, there is a little divot right there. I can put that back on, and then I can take that divot away. So, works really good. Any questions? Or did I confuse everybody?
Was there a reason that you didn't choose to use a waste block with the hot glue and then just spot it off?
A waste block for what?
A waste block and then
Oh, well, the thing is, I'm trying to make this so anybody can do it. If you want to use a waste block, you can. If you've got a vacuum system, you don't need that mortise. You can use a vacuum and turn that bottom completely away. There's several different ways of doing this, and the thing is it good for a beginner, advanced, or if you want to make it. Now, one of the other things I will say, you can make a square one of these, but when you make it square, you got to be careful of those corners flying around, because you can't really buff that with that corner around there, because it's going to take your finger knuckles with it. You can make them bigger. If you use the golden means, 1/3, well, I call it 1/3, 2/3, but it's 1.61, whatever it is. If you have one of those golden mean calipers, it's really easy to set that up. So you can make them really big with a wider rim around it. Or you don't have to make a raindrop. You can make a regular platter like that. There's so many different avenues. This is just a basic to get you started. No, only the bottom. Only the bottom and the bowl. The bowl is waxed. And there again, if I have some grain pull a little bit, I'll put some of that wax on there and then use the negative rake scraper and maybe sand it a little bit more, and then put the polishing paste and then the polishing cream on the inside of the bowl. Yeah. But normally when you make these, and yeah, you're going to give them away, people aren't going to complain about them. Now, you know how much you sell them for? Anybody wants to know?
whatever your market is, wherever you're at.
Yeah, roughly though, there's a formula for that. It's you take your width times your height and times 2.5. So if you got a 7-inch bowl, and this is dimensional 3/4 inch, 0.75, then times 2.50 or 2.5, it comes around $12, $13. Of course, again, if you got a 6-inch or 7-inch or 8-inch, that calculates. The width times the height times 2.5, 2.50. That gives you the basic price. Now, if you put turquoise in there or whatever, and you add different things to it, then you have to add that into the price that you want to sell them. If you're giving them away for gifts, it's just your time, right? Yeah. Now, write it off on you. You know, you cannot claim anything on your income taxes until you sell it and have a receipt for it. If you give it away, or whatever, but if you sell it and have a receipt for $30, then you claim that as income. And guess what? Uncle Sam wants some of that income that you just made. So it's, in the long run, it's better to give it away as a gift, and you see these smiling faces, and you know, relatives love you for it. So, any other questions? But that's it. If you got any questions. Now remember, if you've got one of those tools in a raffle, please send Mike Hunter a thank you. And if you get that curve tool, keep it on the straight part of the shaft. And I recommend getting a Thompson handle as SWAT this year because I really like those.
That's a little 7-inch, isn't it?
I believe so. Yeah. One of the things I did not tell you. Oh, I got another thought here. That's terrible.
Another thought.
Yeah. So, if you use small dimensional lumber, and I almost did that earlier. So, you can take this, you know the wooden Venetian blinds that you can get and stuff like that? You can make one of these rings and put on there so you only have a few threads to hold that small dimensional lumber. Because I have the capability, I made one out of aluminum and it fits right on there. So on the walnut ones, I can do it this way. That way I'm not making a funnel on those little walnut ones, but I didn't do that on this one here because I already had the hole in it. So, different things. It's great. It's a lot of fun. Yeah. Dimensionally, it's like 3/4 inch from Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever like that. This one is. The one-way Talon and Stronghold chuck is bigger and it sticks out about another 1/4 inch. So it depends on what chuck you've got. You may need to make a spacer if you're using regular dimensional lumber. So, yeah. Well, this chuck belongs to DB, which is dearly beloved my wife. So, it's her chuck. I normally use Talon chucks. Thank you.